Hello and welcome to this Royal Ascot preview with me, the Prophet. I'm not going to waste any time. We're all here for tips, information, insight, hopefully, things that you won't have picked up on any of the other videos. Let's kick off with the Queen Anne Stakes, the Group 1 that begins the whole meeting, where Notable Speech, of course, is the hot favourite following his win in the Lock-in Stakes at Newbury. Multiple Group 1 winner, and the trends point to multiple Group 1 winners and also horses winning the race for the first time, winning a Group 1 race for the first time, that is. Recent examples, of course, being Accidental Agent, tipped up by Paul Keeley at 66 to 1. Triple Time, who won at 33 to 1, and I backed him. And, of course, last year's winner, Docklands, who won at 14 to 1, a big price, and an even bigger price a few days before. Docklands back for more this year, but he's half the price this time round, only 6 or 7 to 1, and he hasn't done anything since winning the Queen Anne to indicate that he can do it again. He might do, of course, but first off, I'm more inclined to look at a horse many times his price, who finished in front of him the last time the two met on this course on the Straight Mile at Ascot, and that of course is Cicero's Gift, who won the Queen Elizabeth II Stakes. He beat a field including Rosallion and Field of Gold and the Lion in Winter, lots of top class horses, of course, at the huge price of 100 to 1 last October. Now strangely, the price that a horse wins one race at can often affect the price it is for subsequent races, and for some reason Cicero's Gift, although beating what is arguably a better field in the QE2 last autumn, is still available at 50 and 66 to 1 for Tuesday's race. He's had a couple of runs this season, pretty disappointing, but also irrelevant, as were his performances in the run-up to the QE2 last year. Obviously, this has been the target, and the Charlie Hill stable seems to have turned something of a corner. They had a nice winner at the Sandown last week. At the end of the week, this would have been the target, his big target of the year probably, and Ascot is something of a specialist course. We'll come on to that a little bit when looking at the two-year-olds. So at 66 to 1, and I've also availed myself of a little bit of the 40 to 1 with 4 places with the William Hill organisation, only 9 runners in the race. That's outstanding value. Of course, he might finish out with the washing, but the point is he's won a Group 1 race over the course and distance, and he finished in front of a horse a tiny fraction of his price. Notable Speech finished down the field in this race last year. Suspicions that he doesn't like Ascot. Opera Ballo, strongly fancied, including by Tom Siegel of the Racing Post. Well, the form of that Heron Stakes win at the Sandown is very patchy. Had horses like Andab in behind him, who falls well short of the standard required. So, although he was visually impressive, and he could be anything, he could win the race by 3 or 4 lengths. He could turn out to be a monster, but on what we've seen so far, he's still got a little way to go. Although for some reason he is actually joint top rated with Notable Speech. But at 7 to 2, I can look past him. The other one that interests me is not More Thunder. I think he's got a bit short in the betting. Not sure if 7 furlongs isn't better for him. I think he could go well. I don't see why he doesn't make the frame. I did have a few quid on him anti-post in a couple of multis. But the other value play in the race is undoubtedly Damasus for the John Gosden yard. Like Triple Time, who I mentioned a few moments ago, also by Frankel, champion sire and wonder horse. And Damasus, of course, was fancied for the Derby last year. In fact, he ran in the Derby. Has come back in trip gradually. Was hugely impressive when winning the Earl of Sefton at Newmarket. So much so that he was made pretty much favourite until the avalanche of late money for notable speech at Newbury. Very well backed at Newbury, very strongly fancied. It didn't happen for him that day. Couldn't get any cover. He was wide and unable to show his best running. But there are two of the oldest adages in racing which I'm applying here. One is horses for courses, and for that we've got Cicero's Gift, course and distance winner. Can't say fairer than that. And Damasus, the other one, because you can always forgive a horse one bad run. They're not machines. They're rather strange, moody creatures. And Damasus didn't give his running at Newbury at all. The result is that we can back him at 14 or 16 to 1 for Tuesday's race. Each way 3 places, a little bit shorter, 10 to 1, 4 places with William Hill, and that extra place can make a difference, especially in your each way multis. Unlike Bet365, William Hill allow you to put each way extra selections in multiple bets, so you can have 4 places in the Queen Anne in a multi. You have to take a couple of points less, but Damasus could well go off at 10 to 1 or shorter, if for no other reason than because Johnny G, the man himself, John Gosden, does target the meeting more than any other. They will have him absolutely spot on for this task. Stiffer course as well at Ascot, and having been proven over further, that's another factor in Damasus's favour. So the 2 value picks, because betting on horse racing is all about juxtaposing the prices against the likelihood of success. Damasus at 14 or 16 to 1, 10 to 1 with 4 places, and Cicero's Gift, who beat them all in the QE2 at a whopping 66 to 1 with 3 places, 40 to 1 with 4 places. Those are my 2 value picks in the opener. Now moving on to the Coventry Stakes and the big 2-year-old race. The trend here over the years, apart from anything else, is for horses with predominantly, or partly at least, American dirt bred breeding do particularly well. Ascot is a sandy surface underneath the turf, and that has resulted in horses, particularly from breeding lines from the great much missed stallion Scat Daddy and his offspring No Nay Never, who won at Royal Ascot, of course, and also Crimson Advocate, twice a winner at Royal Ascot. She was by Nyquist, another American stallion. The track favours these slightly American bred horses from those sire lines, so that's why I want to be with the American breds, and that brings in a horse who I would be extremely keen on, were it not for the fact that the trainer's retiring to take a job in horse insurance or something. I'm talking, of course, about James Ferguson and his charge, God's Gift or something. Let me, bear with me, I'll get it up. Who is by No Nay Never. In fact, he's the only No Nay Never in the race, and he's won his only start, was quite impressive. God-given talent, there we go, for James Ferguson. William Buick booked 25 to 1. Aidan's got the first 2 in the betting, of course, and they will no doubt run well, but he's got plenty beaten in this. They come into it looking invincible, but that doesn't always turn out to be the case. And if you want to back the favourite or the second favourite, trained by Aidan O'Brien, be my guest. I would never seek to put you off, but the point of this channel with me, the Prophet, is to find a bit of value, find something that the bookies have overlooked, find something that the public haven't latched onto yet anyway, and go in each way, or have a little tinkle at a wild price on the exchange for the win. So God-given talent by No Nay Never, and here's the other plus point on the breeding side. He's out of a Galileo mare, and you can never do better than that. I call it the magic blood. And he won very well last month at Newbury, a fairly straightforward maiden, beating a horse called Pure Grit of Andrew Balding's. Went in at a big price. He's owned by Michael Buckley, the owner of Constitution Hill, who made a rather amusing comment after the race. He said, it's pretty unpleasant. And he won at 25 to 1 on debut because I didn't have a cent on him. But I'm pleased God-given talent looks like a racehorse. I bought him and Paul bred him, so he kept a quarter. And we've done it many times. The problem is they've not been winning. Well, this time they won. And he put up a decent figure, competitive on the numbers. It's a 2-year-old race. Most of them have only run once or twice. So anything could happen. And God-given talent strikes me at this point as being a bit of value. And the other one that strikes me as being a bit of value is High King, who is not American bred, although he's out of an American bred dam, but he's by Calix, the ill-fated Calix, who's dead. Finished last on his debut, but then won well at Fairy House, again in a 6-furlong maiden. And they like him, and they've always held him in high regard. And he's available at 50, or even with a bit of luck, you might get 66 to 1. 5 places generally on offer in this 22 runner field. So at the moment, and I might do an update tomorrow night after poring over this race even longer. But at the moment, my 2 against the field are God-given talent for James Ferguson and for Donica O'Brien. Yes, you can't keep that family out of the headlines. High King, who I think has been overlooked by the market. On we go to the King Charles III Stakes, the second Group 1 of the meeting, and the Australian Overpass is the heavy favourite. He hasn't actually won any of his last 5 races, but it's commonly believed that Australian sprinters are that much superior to ours that he's been made a 3 to 1 favourite. He did finish, or rather he was leading at the furlong pole against the wonder horse Car Young Rising, so this drop back to 5 is reckoned to suit. And again, if you want 3 to 1, he's got to turn up and do it. But as a 7-year-old gelding, perhaps a well-travelled one at that, there's no reason to believe he won't reproduce his form. I nibbled at Rayevka Anti-Post. She's got her chance, obviously, for the all-conquering Francois-Henri Gaffard in the Aga Khan's colours. Night Raider is very interesting for Carl Burke. He seems a reformed character this season and has bolted up in the Group 3 Palace House and then the Group 2 Temple Stakes at Haydock. He must have his chance, and I think of the ones towards the head of the market, he would be my pick. American Affair won it last year. Horses for Courses, course and distance winner. Can he follow up? I need to look into that a little bit more. There's support for Mission Central, although he was apparently just used as a lead horse for the other sprinters at Ballydoyle. That one, of course, trained by Aidan O'Brien. Asfura, the other Australian, well, the bubble has burst there. And then we're into some bigger prices, including a bit of value, I think, with a couple of fillies down the bottom, numbers 22 and 23 on your race card. Rosie Affair, trained by George Bowie, who of course has the favourite for the St James's Palace Stakes, which we'll come on to in a moment. Rosie Affair, 25 to 1. Now, she won a listed event at the Haydock last time, but quite impressively, and he likes her. That's the thing. I watched the preview lunch from Ascot. He was there with William Haggis and Nick Luck and Oisin Murphy and Kevin Blake, and he made a point of saying how much he fancied this filly for the race. She's a Havana Grey out of Asaki's Secret mare. Nothing to get too excited about on the pedigree front, but of course the fillies get a bit of weight and they can improve rapidly at this time of year. And the other one is one who improved rapidly at this time last year to finish second. Time for Sandals for the Harry Eustace yard, also around 25 to 1. Again, 5 places available, and the value picks at this time in my book would be Time for Sandals and Rosie Affair. Moving on then to the big one, if you like, the St James's Palace Stakes, certainly one of the races of the week. The winner of the French Guineas is out. He wasn't declared. I think perhaps they might feel that the task was a bit too much for him. He was knocking around the 10 to 1 mark. As a result, we've got 6 left, including Bo Echo, trained by George Bowie, and this 2000 Guineas winner has been freshened up for the race. Apparently he's put on a bit of weight. He's grown a little bit because he's not that big, but Bowie said at that Ascot lunch he's pretty much all of 16 hands, so he's not pint-sized or anything. But what a rocket! I mean, the performance in the 2000 Guineas was arguably the best since Frankel. He could be the best miler since Frankel. And if the horse turns up in the same form, granted, even as 3-year-olds go through the season, a few pounds of improvement, even 3 or 4 pounds of improvement, he wins. Unless the horse is ill, he's been got at. Hopefully that doesn't happen these days. Or, of course, the possibility on the round course at Ascot he gets trapped in a pocket on the rail. Aidan only runs one, Puerto Rico. I don't think they'll necessarily be ganging up on him. Personally, I don't understand why they run this on the round course. Straight mile is so much fairer for everybody. But anyway, that's what they do. Who can forget Maljoom? I certainly can't. A few years ago, trapped on the rail, looked like he certainly would have won with a clear run, and has hardly won a race since. Absolute disaster that was. I backed him, the son of Caravaggio. So let's hope Bo Echo with young Billy Loughnane up, absolutely top jockey. He is very much destined for the top, the new Lester Piggott, if you like. And Bowie himself, George Bowie, the trainer, very impressive. If he reproduces his form, given normal improvement, if the horse is fitting well, he will win. It's as simple as that. I'm not moved by Stad. The fly in the ointment might be Talk of New York, who was very, very impressive last time, but what does the form amount to? He won at Sandown, didn't he? Puerto Rico, he was 16 to 1 with 3 places the day before yesterday, but because a couple have come out, he's now 11 to 1 with obviously 2 places in a 6-runner race. So I would have liked him each way, and he might well be the one for the forecast. There's more to come from him. That's Aidan O'Brien's sole runner. So the way I might be playing that race is Bo Echo to beat Puerto Rico in a straight forecast, and conceivably a tiny little bit each way on Puerto Rico. Or you could take Bo Echo out of the equation, betting with 5 runners each way, believe it or not, with Bet365 amongst others. And you get paid if he comes third, so long as Bo Echo finishes in front of him. That's the way to get your 3 places, but he'll only be about 5 to 1. Nevertheless, if you think he's got every chance of finishing second, and I do, then that might be the way to go. Christophe Soumillon, interestingly booked for him, because Christophe won on him last autumn when Ryan Moore was injured. Bit disappointing for Wayne Lorden, but that's the way it goes. There's a pecking order amongst the jockeys. Next up, we've got the Ascot Stakes. I was stupid enough to put something in an each-way anti-post multi. It didn't get into the race. Always better with these handicaps to wait until you get the declarations to find out who's actually going to turn up. I'm drawn towards the Irish trained horses that just tend to specialise in this sort of race, including ones trained by national hunt trainers. So Ismahane for Paddy Toomey. I mean, people haven't cottoned on to what a terrific trainer Paddy Toomey is in this country yet. I mean, the guy's absolute mustard. He tends to run at a sort of 60 or 70% strike rate through most of the summer. Really top class target trainer. So he's obviously got to be interesting. And Joseph O'Brien entered about half a dozen in this, and you can take your pick, frankly. They used to say Joseph O'Brien's selected, and it would appear, Galileo Dame has got a good chance, Glen Royal has got a good chance, and then of course he's also got Put Your Hands Together, the second favourite. Willie Mullins also has 2 in there, reaching high for the King and Queen, believe it or not. Yes, the King and Queen have a horse trained in Ireland by the living legend that is Willie Mullins, and he's your 9 to 4 favourite. Ryan Moore up, and all very obvious. I'm reluctant to say he just wins. Probably need to look at the race in a little bit more detail, but for now, I'm drawn to Paddy Toomey's German-bred horse, Isfahane. German breeding often underestimated. On we go to the Wolferton Stakes. This is actually a very good betting medium often, because this sort of listed race over 10 furlong tends to attract only sort of small fields, half a dozen runners or something for most of the season. But at Royal Ascot, of course, it attracts a big field, close to maximum, if not maximum, and that makes it an interesting betting heat, especially with the extra places that you get. So value to be had, and the one that I'm drawn to is trained by former national hunt trainer Dr. Richard Newland, now specialising on the flat with his new partner in the training ranks, also on the line as Jamie Insole, and that's a horse called Dividend. Dividend was last seen in Meydan, finishing behind none other than Ombudsman, favourite for the Prince of Wales Stakes. Second favourite, sorry, behind Darius, but I think the most likely winner. We'll come on to that tomorrow. Not all that far behind, just 3 and a bit lengths behind Ombudsman. Now that's top class form, and this will have been the target. That's a great thing about Royal Ascot. You don't really have to worry too much about this being a prep run for anything else. They're all absolutely primed to the max for the big day, and I think that's the outstanding bit of form in the race. I think he's got a great chance there. Dividend, not particularly fashionably bred by Kodiak out of a master craftsman mare, but certainly good enough pedigree to win this race. And again, a nice price, 20 to 1, 25 to 1, any price you like about Dividend. Finally, the Copper Horse Handicap, one of the newer races, handicap over mile 6. Apparently you want to be drawn in the middle of the field, the ones right on the inside and right on the outside, don't tend to fare quite so well. And the one that I'm drawn to as a bit of a value pick is a thing called Paddy the Squire, trained by Ian Jardine. Golden Horn gelding. Believe it or not, Golden Horn hasn't been quite the flop at stud that people sometimes portray him as. He's left the Darley stud operation, of course, now standing somewhere else privately as a sort of dual purpose stallion, but he's produced plenty of decent horses, and there's no reason why his offspring can't win handicaps like this. Now they're teeing this thing up for the Ebor. He's only had one run this season. I do like horses on their second run of the season. Again, this will have been the early season target. He ran like he needed the run at York last time. He improved last season, winning at Thirsk and Hamilton. They're stepping up in trip. Believe it or not, Jardine's talking about the Melbourne Cup for the horse, believe it or not. Well, he needs to be winning things like this if he's going to get anywhere near the Melbourne Cup. Unfashionable trainer, Andrew Mullen, unfashionable jockey. So a nice price about Paddy the Squire towards the top of the handicap. Again, that favours the trends. He's rated 100, and that's pretty much exactly where you need to be rated, apparently, to win the race. And well drawn in 4, Paddy the Squire. So those are mine for Tuesday. I'm going to put one up anti-post for later in the week, and that's Karma's in the Gold Cup for Paddy Toomey, winner of the Queen's Vase at the Royal meeting last year. Finished down the field in the St Leger, but has really taken a step forward this season. Paddy reckons he'll have him absolutely spot on. Trip and track will suit. We know the track suits. He thinks he'll get the 2.5 miles, and he's outstanding value at 20-1 against the fancied ones. John Gosden said this morning in the Racing Post that Trawlerman will not be at his peak, although he did some good work last week apparently on the July course, which was well noticed by the Gallops watchers. Nevertheless, he's not going to be firing on all cylinders. He's taken to wearing sunglasses because direct sunlight causes him headaches. Apparently, they couldn't work it out what was troubling him, but he has to wear sunglasses now when exercising, unless it's cloudy. Quite extraordinary. Scandinavia and Rahib, first two in the St Leger, they both reoppose, slightly favour the Roger Varian runner, but the value is undoubtedly with Paddy Toomey. As I say, people haven't cottoned on to quite how good this trainer is yet, because he doesn't have that many runners in England, but his strike rate is better than Aidan O'Brien's, better than Willie Mullins. I mean, he's absolute mustard, this bloke. So you could do worse than back everything Paddy Toomey trains each way all week. I'm going to be back with more for Wednesday, but before I go, I'll run through my value picks again for the week very quickly for Tuesday. In the opener, Damasus and Cicero's Gift. In the Coventry, it's High Noon and God-Given Talent. In the King's Stand, it's the two fillies, Time for Sandals and Rosie Affair. In the St James's Palace Stakes, Puerto Rico in your forecast with Bo Echo. In the Ascot Stakes, first of the Paddy Toomeys, it's Fahan. Then we go on to the Wolferton and Dividend for Dr. Richard Newland and Jamie Insole. And then finally, in the Copper Horse Handicap, Paddy the Squire. Now, you only need a 10p accumulator on 5 of those to pretty much break the bank. They're all big prices. If you leave out the St James's Palace Stakes, you've got 6 horses there, 6 recommendations. You can perm them up if you want to do a play spot or something. Because I don't believe in putting up short price horses. You could work that out for yourselves. I've said I think Bo Echo is possibly the best miler since Frankel, and if he doesn't get boxed in on the rail, and if he's fit and well, he wins. As simple as that. So, And if you want to back Aidan's favourite in the Coventry, be my guest. If you want to back the Willie Mullins one in the handicap, away you go. And they might well win. But what I'm here to do is find the value. So I do hope you've enjoyed this little peruse, and perhaps I've turned over one or two nuggets that you hadn't thought of. And all being well, I'll be back again at the same time tomorrow with a preview of Wednesday's racing. Bye bye for now.